Welcome to the third lesson in this section. So we've been looking at how to attract more people to our website by producing great quality content and good articles. But just writing them is not enough. What we need to do is get them out there and make them work for us. So we're going to have a look at optimizing, sharing, and repurposing today. And this is, a really good way to think about or a good time to think about how we use our content. We previously mentioned about cutting up articles and taking little chunks and using them on social media. We're going to look a little bit further into that today and how it can work for you. So a really good article will be shared. Okay, so aim high when you write your content. Make it worthwhile. Think about the articles that you've read when you've been going over the internet, or you've been on Facebook or somewhere like that, and you've seen something caught your eyes. Think about those articles and think about why you read them, and even more importantly, think about why you then shared them on. There is a lot to be learned from our own actions and what we bite on, because we are as human as the next person. So what attracts us will often interest the other people who are interested in the same topic. So if I see something that's geeky, I will often share it with a few of my friends directly through Facebook Messenger, because I want to share that geeky thing that happened. Or it might be a cartoon. Oh, that particular cartoon, I know that will fit with those people. Well, it's the same with the content for your website. When you're writing great articles, okay, people will read them and they will share them. Now, you can't count on it as being like, yes, everybody will share it 5 times. So every person I get to my website will share this article. It's not like that. But if you start to share it out to other places that make it easy for people to share, such as social media, then it does make it easier for people to do it, and they're more inclined to, because by pressing a button, it's much easier than, say, going to your website, copying a link, or pressing a button to make Facebook pop up, and then typing something, and then, oh no, I'm not logged into Facebook. You know how it goes, okay? It gets really messy. So we want to keep things really simple. So, our donut. A good donut, well worth sharing. Let's face facts. And this is something that you'll see every day of the week. Good things get shared. Sadly, so do bad things too. So we tend to have like this 2 ends of the spectrum. You got bad things get shared and good things get shared. Average things get ignored. So don't be average. Produce great content and make it interesting for people. Make it something they're going to learn from, something they think, oh gee, I should share that with my friends. A good donut should be shared, not physically, just as a picture. Okay, don't share real donuts, they're worth eating. So traffic to websites comes from multiple sources, and realistically, on average 62% or more comes from organic search results, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing right. Now, it does depend on your industry sometimes. Some industries are harder to rank for, and so there's not as much traffic, just purely because of the competition levels. But by being clever with how you produce your content, you can actually get around that often. Not always possible. I've worked on sites where it's been extremely difficult, but you've got to keep working at it, okay? Sometimes it's a case of test and change. But if you have a look at that diagram, we've got organic search, paid search, so that's our AdWords, Facebook advertising, social media posts, social media ads, again, Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads or Insta ads. There's so many different sorts of ads these days. Email marketing, content and blogs, which draw traffic from the search engines in the end. Most people don't follow websites for the latest content unless they're really massive authority sites within specific niches. Those days are kind of gone. It used to be people would follow an RSS feed, and every time you posted something, they'd be to your site and see it. Most times people go to search engines, or they find stuff through social media, and also links from other sites. So if you've written a really good article, sometimes it might be picked up by other sites and talked about, and when they talk about it, they link back to you. Now, I wouldn't count on that sort of traffic these days. Getting links from other sites is pretty well impossible, and in discussing it with other SEO guys and girls, the general consensus is getting links is extremely difficult, not necessarily worth your time, and as I mentioned earlier, good content actually is better for you. So put your time into writing good content rather than going to someone saying, oh, would you link back to me? Would you put this article on your site and link back to me? It's difficult. So the key element of this diagram in the end is the fact that it's directing everything back to your website. Why? Because your website's the only platform that you actually control. It's yours. It's your domain. It's on your hosting. You control the content. No one can change the rules on you. If you don't like where it's hosted, you can move it somewhere else. If you don't like the design, you can change it. It's yours. You have control. Facebook changes the algorithm all the time. I mean, how many people had thousands of followers on Facebook, and then they said, oh, if you're going to have too many followers, you have to have a page and put all your friends on a page so that they can talk about that. So we all went and got a page, and we built it up and we built it up. And I know businesses had 70, 80,000 followers, and then Facebook went, oh no, you're using it for business. People don't want, business ads all the time. So we're going to downgrade that. And so they went from 70,000 people seeing their ad to 20,000 overnight. Well, not their ad, actually, their post. 20,000 overnight like that, and then it just kept falling through the floor. And then recently, Google's been saying, oh, we'd like you to put all your people into groups, like not Google, Facebook, tell people put them into groups. It just keeps going around in circles. And then we get an algorithm update from Facebook and they go, we've realized after this problem with all the data being stolen, etc., that people don't want to see ads. They don't want to see commercial stuff. They want to see what their friends are doing on Facebook. And it's like, wow, we're back where we started from. And so all that work, all those businesses have put millions or billions of dollars into building pages, building followers, producing content, just basically got nailed. And Facebook doesn't care. All they care is you're either putting up personal stuff, or if you want to put up business stuff, you can pay, which is fine. That's their model. But you don't drive people through those phases just to turn around and nail them to the wall on it. So, they've lost a lot of credibility, and it's one of the reasons why I don't use Facebook to build my community. That's why I have my community, my own private community, rather than building it on Facebook, because they're just going to change the rules on me. I want my community. I want control. So when we have content and we're putting it out there, yes, we use social media. Yes, we can use paid ads to drive people to that article. From there, we can capture them or we can sell to them or whatever. But we don't rely on it. Okay, everything comes back to our website. It's super, super important. Don't matter where you put it, link back to your website. Do not put the whole article on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. Put a good chunk and link back to your website for the rest of the article. Okay, don't give them everything is my advice to you, because it will end in tears. It always does. They don't care about you, even though they say they do. The fact of the matter is that they don't. Okay, I learned this when I was an apprentice. I mean, I worked for a very, very big telecommunications company, and realistically, they only ever have considered their business customers. They don't care about residential customers. And that's why when you ring a company like that, you get the runaround. You spend an hour on the phone. If you were a business, you probably get through pretty quickly because you're paying a premium rate. But residential customers never mattered, and yet now people are getting upset about that. It's like, well, nothing's changed. That's the way it was 20, 30 years ago when I worked for them. Okay, so we need to make sure that we add SEO to our articles. So when we're putting an article on our website, we need to make sure we do the same SEO process that we followed when we produced our pages on our website, and we did that initial SEO through every page on the website. We need to check the title, and it should be the question or whatever it is, the 10 ways to do that you chose. But on most websites, you do have the ability to add a description tag, so you can write a short description that is maybe a little different to the content, that attracts people's attention. Remember, the description tags are a way to kind of get that human element clicking rather than just the robot side of things. So go through and check that. Make sure that on your page it's got a H1 heading. Make sure that when you come down into your article, your little subheadings, make sure that they're H2 or H3 headings, because H1 is seen as the top heading by Google, and then H2, H3 are kind of like subheadings. So don't just leave them as bolded. Bring them up to, say, a H3 heading, so Google can see that they're important, but they're not as important as the H1 heading, the name of the article. Okay, so we can do our SEO. go through and look at everything, from the name of the URL. So the website might be, mrwebmarketing.com / how to get more traffic. That might be the actual address of the page. Think about those things. Make sure your keywords are in the name of the actual page. And yes, you can edit that on your content management systems. You can definitely do it in WordPress. And think about, making sure if you've got a picture in there, because, with an article, it always needs a picture. Make sure you do the alt tag. Now, we haven't talked about alt tags, but now's a good time. Alt tags, when you load a picture up into WordPress, for example, you'll see on the right-hand side, it has like the title and it has alt next to it. Now, alt is the alternative name of the picture, not just the name that the image is given, like, DSC1001 when you take it with a camera. It's what the picture is about. So the alt tag is telling Google, and originally it was there for people who had reading difficulties, so someone who might be limited in their vision, etc. Their software could read what the picture was about by reading the alt tag. So it would say, this is a picture of a Porsche. Those alt tags still count, they're still important. So if you add a picture into your articles or on any of your pages, make sure you do go through and do those alt tags. It's not, the be all and end all, but if you want to just continue to improve your SEO skills and just make sure you're adding those little bit extras that most people don't bother with, that make the difference, make sure you do your alt tags. Don't worry about the title so much of the picture, just do the alt tags, okay? So go through each article as you do it and do the SEO. And if you already have articles on your site, go back and do them now. You should have done the pages, but if you've got articles, go back and do those already, okay? Super important. Now, we need to share it. So it's really simple. Write a short blurb, take it to Facebook and paste it in, and then paste the link in and share. Simple, okay? Nothing too hard. You can put it on your page, or you can put it on your personal feed, depending on how you use your personal feed. A lot of people these days use their personal feed as part of their business. And I highly recommend that, because you can always set up a separate account that's going to be your really personal Facebook or Insta or whatever, because you don't have to have just one account. I mean, on Insta I've got a couple. I've got Mr. Web Marketing, which is my main account, but then I have another one called Firefighter Gear, which is a clothing line that I'm doing. So you can have multiple accounts, it's fine. Don't feel bad about that if you want to separate them out. Take your content, cut it up, and we can also repurpose it. So that's where we take an article and maybe turn it into a video, or turn it into an audio track, or turn it into a checklist or whatever. There's lots of things we can do, and we're going to look at some examples of that, and just work it. Okay, don't waste that content. We've talked about this previously, but you need to use it over and over again, because otherwise you're just in this constant cycle of content creation, and it will eat up your life. The good thing is, if you've got a great article, you can get a social media specialist to take over and break it down in little chunks. You can get someone for a relatively cheap price, working in the Philippines, highly qualified, can do all that for you. And they'll take over and do it for you. So think about that as an option. So sharing the social is pretty simple. You take it, you do a video and you share it onto YouTube, you do a picture, you put it on Pinterest, you do an article and you share it on the Facebook, whatever. And hopefully other people will then share that on. And that's the goal, isn't it? If it's good content, people will like it and they'll share it. When they like it, their friends see it. It all works in your favor. Now, one of the things you can do is you can take a day-by-day focus on this and set yourself up a marketing calendar. So you can see here, you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is week 1. What are we going to do on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Vine? Well, Vine not so much anymore. SlideShare, Snapchat, Foursquares, not so much. Blog posts and email newsletter. Never forget your email newsletter. We will come into that a little bit further in module 3. But think about, could I do something on Wednesday on Facebook, and I might do it as well on Twitter and Pinterest, and then Thursday I do LinkedIn. Set yourself out a bit of a calendar. And again, if you're outsourcing, it makes it easier for the other person because they can follow the calendar. You can repeat it every single week if you want to, what you do on what days. But if you can plan this stuff up front, it actually saves you a lot of time down the track, because it's that old thing, you come into work, you sit down at your desk, you start checking your emails, then the phone starts ringing, then there's the hangover from yesterday's job, that problem you didn't get to that you got to fix. Meanwhile, someone else is having a problem and you've got to sort that out, and you know how it goes, okay? It goes downhill from there. Next thing you know, I've gone 3 days without actually posting anything. So getting a calendar set up and planning this, and maybe getting someone else in to help you, as I said, outsourcing. You're not talking about thousands of dollars. You can hire someone full-time for a very reasonable rate, who can do this for you, okay? Or even for an hour a week. Even if you got an hour a week out of someone, it might cost you $20. Would be well worth it just to make sure it was being done, wouldn't it? Rather than kind of realizing that another month's gone past and I have done nothing again. Now, repurposing your work, this is where your leverage comes in, because as I said, you produce one article, then you can turn it into all different things. So this is some examples. We've got long form, short form, and visual form. So long form obviously is like a long article, like a blog post. Short form is things like little Facebook chunks with little pictures with words over the top, that sort of stuff. And maybe posts with a link back to your blog post. And then visual form, so videos, stories, infographics, those sorts of things. There's so many ways that you can repurpose content these days. And again, it's worth just looking at that list. Straight away you'll see things and you think, oh yeah, I could have done that. Or, like a worksheet. It's not that hard to put together a worksheet or a checklist to go with your 10 things you need to do. Here's a checklist. You can just tick them off to make sure you've done them all. You just go copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, put a little square beside them, put a heading on it. Hey presto. Now, I recommend if you're going to do that, use Canva or use Microsoft Word. It doesn't have to be too fancy. Just put a nice heading on it. And hey presto, you've got something that's different that you can give away for free. All people got to do is come to your website to get it. Okay, you don't even have to ask for an email address if you don't want to. You can just put it on your website and say, come and get it. Because when they're on your website, you've got the chance to make an offer to them. You've got a chance to get them to, book you or do whatever it is you need to do them. Getting them to your website is a key element of all these things. Don't just take it and stuff it on Facebook. Okay, don't take that file and give it to Facebook and let people get it there. Bring them back to your website. And that's the biggest mistake I see. People do all this stuff and then they put it somewhere else. Do a video, load it onto YouTube, and then you can either make it public, or you can put it on your website and then tell people about it and bring them back to your website. Or you can make it public on YouTube and then put a link underneath, to read more about this. You might do the first 3 points. To read 7 more points, come back to my website. So just need to think a little bit about it, okay? Be a little bit creative, because when you got a list of 10 things, you don't have to do a video of 10 things. You can do the top 3 and then say, there's 7 more. It's simple, isn't it? There's lots of lists online of ways of repurposing content. So I've got actually a really good size list, which I will add to the community. And you can just use it, just look at it and kind of go, okay, I wrote an article about this. How am I going to repurpose it? Oh, I could do that and I could do that. For example, if you did the 10 things you need to do, you could do one little visual graphic with some writing on it for each of the 10, and that would be 10 days content on Facebook or 10 days on Insta, whatever. So have a think about that. Think about how it applies to you. So to review, we need to take our content, we need to optimize it. So we need to apply our SEO principles, such as the titles, the subheadings. You remember our H3 headings for our subheadings. And also we need to look at naming our pictures, making sure you put your pictures, alt tags in there. Go through each post as you do them and make sure that's done. You need to remember that the goal here is to bring people to your website, not to give them to social media so that they go everywhere. You want to suck people back to your website. So whatever you do, if you put up a picture on Facebook, make sure you link back to your website for the rest of the information. Don't give them everything on someone else's platform. Give them a taste, pull them back. Get them on your site. When they're on your site, you can offer them. They can click links. They can find out more about you. They're more likely to, look around, especially if there's a nice offer in the sidebar or something. But don't waste the content. Use it to draw people back to your website. And make sure that you do take the time to repurpose some of your content. As I said, you can outsource that stuff. You can say to people, can you make me 10 graphics for the 10 things? And they'll do that. It only takes them, an hour or so to do that. It doesn't take a lot of work. But it will take a lot of time out of your life if you're not proficient at repurposing content. So that's it for this section. Okay, that's the end of the module. I hope that you've now learnt what you need to do to attract people to your website. You need to revise the content in your website. You need to produce new content, and then you need to share and repurpose and get it out there so it gets found. I look forward to seeing you in the next module.